Hi, I'm Tristan, and my topic is Palestine and Israel, with my specific source being the Palestinian National Charter from 1968 from the Avalon Project website. Who created this source was the Palestine National Council. Their role in this circumstance was to create a set of resolutions with an official charter on the Arab-Israel conflict and announce to the world their goals and wishes. The source is a national charter with 33 articles, with each article talking about different topics, some just being a sentence long and others being a few sentences. Different topics ranging from explaining what Palestine is to the Palestine identity being transmitted from parent to child, and that the dispersal of Palestinian people doesn't make them lose their identity. Ultimately, the theme of the charter as a whole is that it shows the Palestinians' stance on their country, with some reasons being that the formation of Israel was an illegal action because its creation went against the will of the Palestinian people, that Zionism is wrong, and calling for it to be recognized as an illegitimate movement. Also, how they plan to free the country from it and become a free people who can exist how they please. They plan to go about this through the methods of armed struggle, as shown in Article 9, stating, "This is the overall strategy, not merely a tactical phase," showing how dire the situation appears and that things are beyond a peaceful solution. I'm not sure of the exact location it was created because it was never explicitly stated in the document, but to my understanding, somewhere within Palestine. The charter was from the 20th century, from July 1st to the 17th in 1968. The source was created as a way for the Palestinian people to explain how they feel about what's going on in their country and to give a sense of understanding to what's happening to the Palestinian people, such as the partition of Palestine, which happened in 1947, which sought to split the land for Jewish people and Arab people. A source of motivation could have been the Six-Day War, which had just occurred a month before this charter's release. The effects of the Six-Day War could have been a cause for this charter's content. My quote is from Article 22, which says, "Zionism is a political movement organically associated with international imperialism and antagonistic to all action for liberation and to progressive movements in the world. It is racist and fanatic in its nature, aggressive, expansionist, and colonial in its aim, and fascist in its methods." This quote is saying that Zionism isn't right or logical in the way it forces itself upon the Palestinian people, in such an extreme way that there's no way to fight back or argue against it, and it gives the Palestinian people the only option but to listen and obey. That it forces its way onto the Palestinian people, taking their land from them and not giving them a choice in how their country is handled. I believe this quote is significant because it is very clear in its tone how wrong the Palestinian people think Zionism is with its extreme and descriptive wording. This quote shows how intense the situation was between Israel and Palestine for the Palestinian National Charter to call out Zionism in the way it did, to not hold back in its description, hinting that the relationship between Israel and Palestine was at a severe low at this time. This historical event connects to the conquest of Mexico in that I believe in that both involve a group of people invading land already occupied by a group of people and forcing their beliefs upon them and taking control. This source reveals the situation the Palestinian people were in during the time of 1968. The charter shows a sort of desperation and calm explanation as to what's happening to the Palestinian people and that it is wrong and why, with its intense wording and statements by the Palestinian people. The source shows how the Palestinian people so adamantly wanted liberation for their country and the extent they were willing to go to attain this liberation. Part of it is almost a cry for help in a way that in Article 18 they mention, "Accordingly, the Palestinian people, desirous as they are of the friendship of all people, look to freedom-loving and peace-loving states for support in order to restore their legitimate rights in Palestine, to reestablish peace and security in the country, and to enable its people to exercise national sovereignty and freedom." This source helps us understand what the Palestinian people were feeling and what they thought was necessary to share to get their viewpoints across, listing only so many things that they could in 33 articles that they thought was necessary information for people around the world to potentially know. Showing that the events of Israel becoming the land for the Jewish people had an impact on the Palestinian people, that although a balance between Israel and Palestine tried to be handled in a civilized way, it was still unjust in the way the Palestinian people were sidelined. It shows us how the Palestinian people reacted to Israel becoming a country and how the partition of Palestine had a negative effect on the Palestinian people. Some insights and takeaways I had was how sympathetic the whole charter is towards the Palestinian people in the way it's written. It doesn't dehumanize them, it doesn't write them off as aggressive to a illogical sense. It just writes them as people wishing to be free and wishing to have a country where they feel that they are not treated poorly in. That this charter was an explanation for why the Palestinian people felt the way they did and what actions they were going to seek to attain the freedom that they felt they were losing as time went on. That if someone were to view this charter without much knowledge at the time on what was going on within Israel and Palestine, this charter could give somewhat of an explanation as to the circumstances the Palestinian people were facing. To read this charter from 1968, excuse me, and know that the issue hasn't been solved 57 years later is really sad to me. To know that this issue, which is currently going on in the year 2025, had been just as big of an issue and problem 57 years ago. To know that it just hadn't been solved, that they could not have an agreement that could continue for a long enough time, that there have been ceasefires and things going on recently, and nothing has worked. So reading this article, reading this document, this charter, really was able to help me understand how the Palestinian people thought about handling the situation 57 years ago. And although I don't know the effects of this charter after the fact, just knowing what was written in this charter was able to help me develop a better understanding on the Palestinian people's stance then, which could possibly be the same or similar to what it is now. Thank you.